Talk about a rebound, eh? Today we're going to be talking about the Montreal Canadiens and the New Jersey Devils, and their game that had occurred a few days ago. Now, we did speak about this game. We made a video about it. It was interesting because the game kind of sucked, but the Canadiens won via a shutout, so yeah, you take the dubs when they come, right? Even if they're as weird as this game was. And before we dive into it, I wanted to say the Canadiens do play again later today against the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm going to try to make a video about that afterwards. No guarantees, though. I will probably have it on in my household, but I'm not too sure if I'll be free to make a video about it after. I'm meeting up with a special someone later on in the evening, but either way, the Habs play themselves yet another preseason game, but focusing on the one they had played 2 days ago, they did do pretty well against the New Jersey Devils. And in response to everything that had went down, I wanted to talk about a player on the Montreal Canadiens that did have maybe one of the better games against New Jersey. It's Michael Pezzetta, and you already know this from the title and the thumbnail of the video here, but Pezzetta had himself a really strong game, and I do think the way that he's played lately puts him in a pretty good spot to getting a roster opportunity for the Montreal Canadiens in 2024-2025. He's pretty alright, I would say. And in order to respond to everything that's been going on, I wanted to go out there and read this article from HabsFanatics.com from Elias Edim. Transactions. Renaud Lavoie makes a major statement regarding Michael Pezzetta and the New Jersey Devils. The article talks about, firstly, the Pezzetta game against the New Jersey Devils last night. Habs forward Pezzetta played an outstanding game against New Jersey. Many had expected him to be placed on NHL waivers by the end of training camp, but he is outright refusing to give up and won't easily relinquish his spot to another young player. And yeah, before we continue, Michael Pezzetta is 26 years old and he's been in the Montreal Canadiens system since 2016. It's been a while. You could say he's not really the youngest guy in the cupboard, but he has had a few cups of coffee with the Montreal Canadiens throughout the years, but finally established himself as a full-time Canadian, let's just say 2-ish seasons ago. Now, you can say that because the Canadiens have a bunch of other guys that are fighting for spots, fighting for their opportunity, Pezzetta's chance isn't really guaranteed, but hey, he's got to fight for it too, and that's exactly what he's doing. This article then goes out there and says this. Regarding Michael Pezzetta and the New Jersey Devils, earlier yesterday on BPM Sports, TVA sports journalist Renaud Lavoie mentioned that it's unlikely that we will see Pezzetta placed on waivers. While young Oliver Catton was the revelation of Game 1, Michael Pezzetta was likely the standout of Game 2. The reality is that Pezzetta, even if he may not be in the organization's long-term plans, has value on the trade market. This morning on BPM Sports, Renaud Lavoie mentioned in his daily segment on the morning show that the New Jersey Devils have always been interested in Michael Pezzetta, said Charles-Alexis Brisebois. This article then has a video clip of the BPM Sports show. The Devils would like Michael Pezzetta to one day end up on waivers. And with this in mind, you have to start thinking, hey, if the guy isn't going to end up on waivers, and the Devils still like him enough to maybe pursue him, could we see some sort of a trade go down? The New Jersey Devils, I'd say, are supposed to be more competitive than the Montreal Canadiens are at this point, right? The Devils have rebuilt, they got Jack Hughes, they got Nico Hischier, 2 years of first overall picks, and they've added a bunch of other names to make their team work. Jesper Bratt, Dawson Mercer, Timo Meier, Simon Nemec, they have a lot of luck in these drafts as of late. And when it comes to New Jersey, they were super competitive a year ago. They made the playoffs in 2023 and did some damage there. Failed to make the playoffs in 2024, but are in a position now with Jack Hughes and Luke Hughes and everybody else to hopefully push that team into further heights and beyond. And if you wanted to say that a guy like Michael Pezzetta maxes out as a perfect bottom six candidate to maybe play with a Curtis Lazar or something, that's a philosophy I could honestly agree with. And so, thinking about Pezzetta, this is a guy that I feel if you paired him with Lazar, you would have an endless amount of energy on that fourth line. I'd seen Curtis Lazar play a lot with the Vancouver Canucks, always appreciated his work ethic. I saw a little bit of Tyler Mott in his game, but Michael Pezzetta with the low-key underrated offense that he can provide once in a while, as well as the work ethic and the precision. I think this is one of these guys that he's really showing off against New Jersey in that preseason game, why he is so highly valued and why he's an underrated favorite on the Montreal Canadiens. Like, obviously, I don't want to come to huge conclusions based off of 1 or 2 preseason games, but it's kind of gotten to a point where, hey, Oliver Kapanen, crazy good in Game 1. Michael Pezzetta, crazy good in Game 2. You have to start building your roster based off of the results you're seeing here. And guys are going to have to earn their shots and earn their spots by performing well in these games. It's why we always see the veterans kind of take their foot off the gas pedal a little bit, because we know Patrick Laine, Kirby Dach, Newhook, their spots are guaranteed. They're not going to not make the team. Pezzetta, though, if he did end up on waivers, it seems like there would have been a really big opportunity for the Devils to claim him and utilize his value in their own bottom 6. So my question to you here is, if New Jersey really does like Michael Pezzetta, as Renaud Lavoie says they do, is there a possibility that a trade gets done? If Kent Hughes says, hey, you like our guy, right? He showed up very well against you guys. You want him for your team. We're not going to put him on waivers, so you're going to have to give up an X round pick for him. What is that X? Is it a second round pick? Is it a third? Is it a prospect in the New Jersey system that you may like as a Montreal Canadiens fan? The Devils have had a few interesting draft picks over the past few years here. I mean, obviously, Simon Nemec and Luke Hughes stand out, but you're not getting that guy for Michael Pezzetta. They have Anton Silayev, 10th overall pick last draft. He's a really interesting name. Maybe if Kent Hughes is able to say, all right, if you like Pezzetta, we'll give you him and maybe a second and a third for Anton Silayev. Maybe make things interesting by adding on a prospect that will really bolster up the Habs decor. Obviously, the Habs have a lot of defenseman prospects, but I'm just tossing out a name out there to make things interesting. If you wanted to make things very interesting, maybe Montreal goes after a guy like Seamus Casey, another small, anti-DP, flashy defenseman who plays similarly to Lane Hutson, except Casey's a right-handed guy. That, of course, is something that I would really like to see just for the fan servicey side of it, because Hutson and Casey are kind of cut from the same cloth, in my opinion. They just play on different handinesses, but all in all, just the idea of having Hutson and Casey together, it'd be so redundant, but it'd be so ridiculous in my opinion. Either way, what do you think Michael Pezzetta's value is on the trade block, and do you think the New Jersey Devils would like him enough to make a trade for him? If they were interested in him becoming a waiver claim, but that's not a possibility anymore, how far do you think Tom Fitzgerald would be willing to go to make things work in some sort of a trade capacity? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. The article will be linked in the description. It has the BPM Sports video interview included in that piece, so it's all going to be there if you wanted to retain the information. Just kind of listen to it yourself. It's in French, of course, BPM Sports, right? But thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this. 99 and bye.